Hey, and welcome to Synaptic Soul, the podcast where science meets spirit, and we get real about the beautiful and brutal and magical mess of being human. I'm your host, Ava Marie Anderson, writer, mystic, multidimensional mischief maker. Quick disclaimer, you may hear the occasional snort, sigh, and dramatic flop from my two French bulldogs, Rocky and Rambo. They're the soundtracks of my life, my soul companions, and honestly, the real stars of the show. Someday we'll dedicate a full episode to their role in my daily rituals, emotional healing, and wild spiritual life. But for now, just know that they're always close by, snoring their support. Let's dive in. So let's get this straight. This isn't burnout. This is energetic bankruptcy. That soul deep fatigue, that one that doesn't go away no matter how many hours of sleep somebody gets or how many overpriced adaptogens they choke down in their mushroom latte. It is not from skipping your greens or forgetting to journal. That's from bleeding energy into timelines and trauma loops like it's some sort of psychic Ponzi scheme running in the background. And spoiler alert, somebody's been funding it with their soul essence. This kind of exhaustion isn't just about being busy or needing to manage time better. Like, no planner on earth can fix what's happening when the nervous system is caught in a constant state of energetic whiplash. Most people aren't even living fully in the present moment. They are stuck in a multidimensional custody battle with versions of themselves that they don't even remember creating. Like replaying arguments in the shower or reliving that one betrayal every time something goes quiet, or still low-key waiting for that ex or that boss or that parent to finally give the apology that was never going to come. And meanwhile, their present-day self is walking around with a smile slapped on and their aura so porous that a ghost could stroll in without knocking. And here's the truth most people don't want to face. They're not tired. They're just fragmented. And when energy is scattered across timelines and bodies and dimensions, then the result is this slow, aching drain that shows up as brain fog or numbness or irritability or chronic fatigue, and that sneaky belief that something must be wrong with them, but there isn't. But there is something deeply off about pretending that pushing through it is a badge of honor. Survival mode is not a personality trait, but let's bring in some science because, we go there on this show. The brain's default mode network, the part that handles self-referencing and memory and rumination, it lights up like a Christmas tree when somebody is stuck in unresolved trauma. That network isn't just thinking, it is looping and constantly revisiting danger and rehearsing worst-case scenarios and holding court in the subconscious like Judge Judy with a vendetta. And the body can't tell the difference between real and remembered danger, so it stays in alert mode. It's flooding the system with stress hormones when the soul quietly slips out the back door, and here's where it gets cosmic. In the quantum field, time doesn't move it like a straight line. Like everything is now, and that means that unresolved trauma is still active. That moment that somebody swallowed their truth, it is still echoing. That version of self who froze in fear or gave away their power just to stay safe is still energetically looping somewhere in the field, trying to fix the past. So when people wonder why they feel like they're living in deja vu and why the same patterns and people or pain keep showing up, it's because those fragmented frequencies are calling the shots from the sidelines. And let's not pretend it started with this one lifetime. Ancestral trauma loves a callback. Some folks are walking around carrying grief that doesn't belong to them and shame that is not theirs, and entire belief systems inherited from a lineage that never got to fully grieve or rest or rage. Soul fatigue doesn't just come from one breakup or one bad job. It comes from generations of energy being looped through survival and suppression and silence. Like, people aren't just tired. They're time traveling through inherited stories that were never meant to be their burden. And then so now what? How does somebody even start to pull their energy back when half of it's floating somewhere between their third breakup and their great-grandma's unspoken grief? It just starts with awareness. Not the cute kind, not the I read a quote on Instagram and now I'm healed kind, but real awareness. The kind that says, where is my energy still living that I haven't consciously chosen? Or who or what is still getting access to my field and my thoughts and my emotional labor and my psychic bandwidth without permission? Because here's the deal. Power doesn't just disappear. It migrates. It gets stuck in emotional contracts, and it loops in timelines, and it leaks through unspoken pain. And most of the time, people aren't even aware that it's happening. But once they see it, once they realize that they've been bleeding life force into places that they no longer live, it becomes impossible to keep giving it away. And calling energy back isn't just a ritual for show. It's not just saging the room and chanting affirmations. It is gritty, and it is precise, and it is soul surgery. It's identifying the energetic tab that's been left open for a decade and then finally hitting close. It's telling the version of yourself that made a survival decision, thank you for getting me through it, but I am driving now. And it's looking ancestral patterns in the eye and saying, this fucking ends with me. And this episode is about naming it, about witnessing it, and then about doing the real work of integration, not because it's trendy, but because wholeness is the birthright, and it is impossible to embody true power while somebody's consciousness is still scattered like glitter in every room they've ever emotionally collapsed in. And that glitter is gorgeous, but it's your magic, so go fucking pick it up. Let's talk about the leaks, the silent siphons, the energy drains that are so sneaky they don't even knock before breaking into somebody's field and stealing their shine. Like, people out here thinking they just need a better morning routine or a new set of affirmations, but let's be real. If the energy body is full of holes, no amount of breath work is going to keep the life force from leaking out faster than a dollar store candle. And spoiler, most of these leaks don't come from hexes or haters. They come from the inside, from agreements somebody didn't know they were still keeping, or from people that they forgot to stop rescuing, and from timelines that they haven't given themselves permission to leave. But here's the reality. Energy doesn't leak randomly. It leaks through patterns and through trauma imprints and through open psychic tabs left running in the background like those 72 Chrome windows on a laptop that hasn't been restarted since 2021. And power bleeds through emotional entanglement, yes, even the kind labeled situationship. It hemorrhages through resentment, and people won't release, and people pleasing. They inherited shit from their caretakers, and there's little energy contracts that they made in survival mode, like, hey, I'll stay small if it keeps the peace, or I'll carry this pain if it helps others feel better. And that's cute, but it's not sustainable. And then let's get into those ancestral leaks, because not enough people are talking about the fact that half the spiritual world is doing unpaid night shifts on the astral plane. Yeah, even while they sleep. So if somebody wakes up more exhausted than when they went to bed, they might not be dreaming. They might be working. Like, they're out there healing timelines and tending the ancestral field and battling energetic parasites with nothing but a semi-conscious intention and a deeply frayed nervous system. And this is why sleep doesn't always mean rest. Not when the subconscious is still carrying a sword and babysitting their grandmother's unprocessed grief. And then let's go deeper. Because this is not just about bad vibes. It's about biology. Trauma fundamentally alters the nervous system, creating a heightened sensitivity to threat and a chronic tendency toward hypervigilance. And that means that energy is constantly scanning the environment, even when nothing is technically wrong. And where the attention goes, energy flows. So if the body is locked into a loop of subconscious danger, it's burning energetic currency like it's got an unlimited line of credit. And trust, that card is fucking maxed. That's a power leak. It's somebody's aura going into overdraft. And that's what happens when the nervous system becomes the default energy manager instead of the soul. And then we've got the inherited stuff, and don't even get me started. Like, generational trauma is a factory of power leaks, and think about it. How many people are still playing roles in their family that were assigned to them before they had language? The fixer, the golden child, the emotional sponge. Some folks out here unconsciously reenacting their grandmother's marriage, trying to fix dynamics that they never created, carrying burdens that have nothing to do with their own choices. And energetically, that is like trying to run a marathon with ankle weights somebody else strapped on. And spoiler, it is going to drain the hell out of a soul. And then let's not forget about cords, like emotional cords, sexual cords, obligational cords. That ex that hasn't spoken to you in 5 years but still stalks your Instagram every eclipse, that is a cord. The boss that they quit working for but they still fear disappointing, like that is a cord. Or the friend who only calls when they're in crisis. Big fat fucking cord. And cords aren't inherently bad, but most people don't know that they have got a full metaphysical Ethernet cable connecting them to people that they no longer even align with. And then there's like, no wonder there's no peace. Like, no wonder they feel scattered. They're still plugged into outdated systems of validation and emotional labor. Like, it is a spiritual AOL account that never got logged out. So, how does somebody plug those leaks? Well, first things first, by noticing. Like, that's the real flex. Awareness is the first act of spiritual, rebellion. Like, start asking, where is my energy going when I am not consciously directing it? Like, what drains me even when I'm doing nothing? And who still has access to me without consent? What beliefs am I embodying that don't even fucking belong to me? Like, that inner detective work is more powerful than any crystal grid, because once somebody sees the leak, they can actually seal it. And power leak repair isn't glamorous. It's just boundary setting. It's grief work. It's nervous system regulation and aura maintenance and saying no more, even when it shakes the voice and rattles the bones. Sometimes it means canceling soul contracts that were built on codependency. Sometimes it means letting go of ancestral obligations and handing them back to the spirits who originated them. Sometimes it means clearing the cord to that one-night stand who's still showing energetically up in your field like it is a timeshare that they forgot to vacate. But most of all, power reclamation is about remembering that sovereignty is a choice, not once, but daily. Someone's energy is theirs. Their body is theirs. Their time is sacred. And any place that feels like a siphon or a drain or a black hole for vitality, that's the place to set the boundary, to cast the spell, to cut the cord, or just to fucking simply say, I'm not gonna leak here anymore. Because staying open to everything means that nothing can be held. And we're not here to be spiritually available. We're here to be sovereign and sealed and fully charged. This episode is supported in part by Sage app, aka the app that's basically a metaphysical multivitamin. It's like having a spiritual sanctuary in your pocket minus the incense smoke in your purse. It's also where I host my new moon manifestation clubs, which, if you know, we go deep. So if you're ready to stop doom scrolling and start soul scrolling, download Sage in the App Store or Google Play and then step into a more intentional, magical version of your day. That's SAGED, like Sage, but with an app. Back to the episode. Here's the twist nobody's ready for. What if the big energy thief in somebody's life isn't their ex or their boss or their chaotic cousin who only calls during a Mercury retrograde? What if the one draining their power is their past self? And sit with that for a second. Not in shame and not in blame, but just in radical honesty, because here's the thing. Most people's energy isn't being stolen. It's just being loaned out indefinitely to versions of themselves who made decisions in survival mode. The version who tolerated too much or stayed too long or dimmed too often. That self is still out there, still clutching a chunk of their own frequency like, nope, I can't let this go yet. This is how we survived. And that's energetic embezzlement, but like make it personal. And then here's what's really wild. Those versions, they are not just in the past, not energetically and not quantumly. Time is not a straight line. line, it is a tangled web of frequencies, and everything somebody has ever been or done or believed is still pulsing in the field unless it's been fully witnessed and integrated and released. So every moment somebody ignored their intuition, or every time they shrank themselves, or every betrayal that they absorbed and internalized as normal, those moments didn't disappear. They just splintered and froze. And now they're out here running scripts in the background like malware, draining the soul's operating system. It's like trying to step into a new reality while dragging a bag of expired identities. No wonder manifestation doesn't work. No wonder alignment feels elusive. It is impossible to be congruent in the now when energetic stock is still invested in the past. And let's make it real. That person who's still trying to launch a business, but the version of them from 10 years ago still believes that it's unsafe to be seen, that is a leak. Or that healer trying to attract conscious relationships, but a younger version still thinks that love means betrayal. Also a leak. That leader trying to speak truth into the world, but their teenage self is punished for every expression of boldness. Massive fucking leak. It's not that the people aren't capable. It's just that they haven't recalled their energy from the aspects of themselves that learn to survive by playing small. And those aspects are smart. They're loyal. They're doing what they've always done. They're trying to keep the whole system safe, and they're not malicious. They're ancient programs, but they weren't built for expansion. They were built for containment. And if somebody's never sat down with those past selves and said, thank you, but we're not doing it that way anymore, then guess who's still driving the ship? And now, in comes the beautiful work of timeline integration, because no, we don't have to kill off old versions of ourselves to heal. That's colonizer energy. We integrate and we honor and we sit with those frozen selves like the sacred witnesses that basically we are, and we say, you were powerful in how you got me here, but I'm not here to keep looping survival stories. I am here to thrive. And it's not just spiritual poetry. It's literal energetic reprogramming. Because here's the secret that quantum field doesn't scream loud enough. Every version of self is still active until somebody chooses otherwise. People are still living in patterns created by their most wounded moments, and then they're wondering why healing feels so hard. It's because they're trying to build a new reality while parts of them are still living in an old one. It's like trying to plant a garden on top of a landmine, and something's gonna blow. And if we haven't even touched on the energetic clutter that it causes, these past self fragments aren't just emotional, they're electrical. Every time somebody loops a thought like, oh, fuck, I should have done more, or, oh, I can't believe I let that happen, or I'm never going to trust again, they're reinforcing an energetic contract with a past identity. And that contract, it drains, and it delays, and it distorts. But here's the good news, and it is juicy. Energy is sovereign. Always. It may be dispersed, but it is never lost. And the moment somebody chooses to recall their essence from the timelines where it's still spinning is basically, that's the moment that their field starts to realign like magic. But it's not magic. It's actually mechanics. This is when somebody becomes their own liberator. Not because they read it in a self-help book, and not because they finally let it go, but because they reclaim the role of energetic authority over their multidimensional self. Because they stopped asking for permission from the version of them that had to be quiet, and because they finally, fully said, I trust myself now to do this differently. And here's the kicker. When somebody integrates their past selves, their nervous system starts to calm. Their mind stops racing. Their dreams become clearer, and the body begins to trust that the present is actually safe. Not theoretically, viscerally. That is the gateway to real expansion. Not bypassing, not pretending, but becoming whole enough to hold the future self without fighting ghosts from the past. Energetic embezzlement ends the moment that somebody realizes that their power isn't gone. It's just been waiting for permission to come home. Let's get one thing straight right now. Reclaiming energy isn't a Pinterest aesthetic. It is not lighting a candle. It's not throwing a crystal at your problems and calling it a day. It's not vibing higher while you ignore your boundaries and bypass your nervous system and call it love and light. No. Reclaiming your energy is a ritual. It is a reclamation. It is a spiritual confrontation, and if done right, it is one of the most badass acts of self-respect that you can ever commit. Because here's the truth. Most people have been taught to give away their energy like it's a party favor. Like, go smile more, don't make anybody uncomfortable, be easy to love, be helpful, be nice, be small, be digestible. And after years, hell, maybe even lifetimes of being energetically overdrawn, they wake up wondering why they feel invisible or depleted and weirdly resentful of people that they technically like. That's not burnout. That's energetic boundary rot, and it takes more than a bubble bath to fix it. So reclaiming energy means that getting real about where it all went and why it all left. And that means, I don't know, stopping mid-scroll to ask, why does my chest tighten every time I see this person's post? It means pausing after a conversation and noticing, why do I feel like I need a nap after talking to them? It means paying attention to who drains you and who charges you. And no, the ones that drain you aren't always toxic. Sometimes they're just people we're not meant to carry anymore. And sometimes it's our own damn pattern siphoning off our power. That people-pleasing and overthinking and perfectionism all disguised as productivity. We leak our energy in 1,000 micro decisions a day. Reclaiming it is radical attention. And then comes the ritual. Not performative, not cute, but powerful. This is the moment somebody draws their own energetic line in the sand and says, I'm not available for this anymore. And then might like I don't know, a cord cutting ritual where you consciously release ties to people, places, timelines, habits that no longer align. Like, imagine sitting down with intention. Maybe you light a candle, maybe you call in your guides, and then literally just stating out loud, I release the energetic tether that I have been holding with this version of myself who had to tolerate less. Boom. Fucking magic. Boom. But cord cutting is just the beginning. There's deeper work. There's somatic rituals, because energy doesn't just live in the aura, it lives in the body. In the shoulders that stay clenched, in the gut that twists during confrontation, or in the jaw that clenches every time somebody thinks about setting a boundary. Like, the body remembers. And if somebody doesn't give that memory somewhere to go, it stays trapped, looping, echoing, burning energy just to stay suppressed. And then this is where nervous system regulation becomes sacred. Like breath work and shaking and tapping and even just lying flat on the earth to ground, these aren't just wellness trends. There are ways to discharge stored energetic trauma and open the field for new enlightenment, new alignments, new everything. Because here's the deal. You can't call in your power if your body is still bracing for the past. Like, reclamation doesn't just mean cutting off what no longer serves. It also means teaching your nervous system that you're safe now and you don't have to be on alert like 24/7. But let's talk about calling energy back. And yeah, it's as mystical as it sounds and as mechanical. So just picture this. You're closing your eyes, you're visualizing golden threads like returning to you from every place that you've ever left yourself behind. Like the text messages you obsessed over, or the versions of you that stayed silent, or the decisions that you made in fear. The heartbreaks, the jobs, the rooms where you shrank. You imagine those pieces of you returning like they're magnetized whispers, pulling right back into your core, not in judgment, but in reunion. Because no part of you was wrong. They're just tired. And now it's time to come home. And that's it. That's the ritual. It's not just what you do, it's how you choose. It's choosing that your energy is sacred and choosing to stop chasing love that costs you your self-worth. And choosing to no longer negotiate with situations that make your body feel unsafe. Choosing to prioritize rest not as indulgence, but like as, regulation. Choosing to be in a relationship with your own field so intimately that you know immediately when something isn't yours, and then you return it to sender without guilt. And let's be honest, it's not a one-time thing. Energetic hygiene is a lifestyle. Just like somebody wouldn't just take one shower and say, I'm clean forever. Energy work is maintenance. But it gets easier, and you get sharper and more attuned, and you start noticing sooner when your field's been infiltrated. You start honoring yourself enough to stop letting people set up camp in your nervous system. You begin to reclaim your power, and not just that, but also your presence, and that's the real gold. Because presence is what makes manifestation work. Presence is what makes love sustainable. Presence is what allows us to embody truth and not just perform it. And you can't be fully present if you are constantly being pulled in 6 directions by, your unconscious energy leak. So no, this isn't just a vibe. This is ceremony. It's spiritual maintenance. It's soul sovereignty. And the version of you who shows up after reclaiming their energy, let me tell you, baby, that's the one who walks into rooms with silence that rearranges the energy. That's the one people feel before they speak. And that's the one who is not just surviving, but fucking radiating. This episode is brought to you in part by one of my most favorite humans on this spinning planet, Morgan Garza, and her book Soul Magic. If you've ever felt like your power was just waiting beneath the surface, or like there's something ancient and electric inside of you ready to be reclaimed, then this is the book that helps you remember. Soul Magic is not just a read, it is a summoning. It's filled with rituals and stories and the kind of grounded spiritual wisdom that doesn't talk at you, it talks with you. Morgan writes like a soul sister, a cosmic cheerleader, and a priestess all rolled into one. And it's a must-have for anyone on the path of awakening, reclaiming. So grab your copy at morgangarza.com or wherever books are sold, or bless someone else's journey and gift it. Because real magic's meant to be shared. That's Soul Magic by Morgan Garza. You'll feel it in your bones. All right, so the energy's been called back, the cords have been cut, the rituals have been done, and the past selves have been thanked and gently ushered off the throne. And so now what? Here's what. You hold it. You hold the power that you've just retrieved like it is sacred, because it is. Like you build a life, a lifestyle that doesn't just protect your energy in emergencies, but honors it as your baseline. You stop being reactive and you start being resonant, and that shift, that is what energetic sovereignty actually is. It's not a moment, it's not a trend, it's not something to reach for only when things fall apart, but a daily devotion to your wholeness. Because let's be honest, most people don't know how to reclaim their energy after they've been depleted, like after the breakdown and the betrayal and the heartbreak and the burnout. But sovereignty, that's preventative. It's proactive. It's choosing to not be available for patterns that cost your peace before they hijack your nervous system. It's boundaries without emotional hangover. It's choosing regulation over reactivity, and it's knowing that a regulated nervous system is the most magnetic frequency in the universe and embodying it like it is your birthright, because surprise, it is. So let's be clear. Sovereignty doesn't mean that you don't care. It doesn't mean isolation. It doesn't mean floating above the world in a spiritual bubble of detachment. It just means choosing where and how and with whom your energy flows. It means discernment. It means asking, does this support the version of me that I'm becoming? And not out of fear or control, but out of reverence. Because once someone reclaims their energy, they realize just how expensive it is to keep handing it out to anything less than love and alignment and purpose. And energetic sovereignty means starting the day with yourself before giving the world access. It's waking up and checking in, like, where am I? Where am I carrying stuff that isn't mine? Or what needs to be cleared before I go out projecting this mood onto my to-do list or my barista? It's refusing to jump into the energetic chaos of group chats and social media feeds or suicidal fear porn before grounding into your own fields. It's psychic hygiene, bro, and it's not extra, it's essential. And it also means noticing when somebody or something is trying to pull you out of your alignment. Like that conversation that subtly undermines your progress, or that social media scroll that ends with you comparing your life to somebody else's highlight reel, or that email that makes you clench your jaw on your solar plexus shift. Like, those are the moments to pause and recenter and choose. Not react, not spiral, but choose. That's sovereignty in real time. Not when it's easy, but when it's messy. Like when your system wants to respond from an old wound and you say, not today, ancestral pattern. We're doing things differently now, and listen. It's not about perfection. You're still going to leak sometimes. Like, you'll still say yes when you mean no, and you're still going to wake up spun out from some weird dream or somebody else's energy, but sovereignty means that you catch it faster. You stop normalizing the drain. You stop calling it just being sensitive when what it really is being porous. And being porous isn't your destiny. It's a nervous system response that can be healed. And part of this healing is knowing how to return to center. Not if you get pulled off course, but when. It's about creating rituals that anchor you, and mantras that bring you back, and movement that clears your field, and breath that resets your vibe. Maybe it's a community that doesn't just hype your ego, but reflects your soul. It's about building the scaffolding for your power so it doesn't get lost every time life gets loud. And here's the deeper truth. It is the most sacred flex of all. Your energetic sovereignty doesn't just change your life. It ripples backward, forward, all around. It becomes an offering to your ancestors and every fucking person that you come into contact with. It becomes a blueprint for your descendants. Every time you say, I am no longer available for this, you are interrupting generations of depletion. Every time you say, like, you just fucking stay regulated in a face of chaos, you're choosing peace not just for you, but for your entire lineage. And the work is personal, yeah, but it's also ancestral. It's evolutionary. It's revolutionary. Because you're never meant to be an energetic sponge. You're not a healer because you absorb people's pain. You're a healer because you transform energy through the strength of your own frequency. You're not meant to be everything to everyone. You're meant to be fully and wholly, unapologetically you. And let that be enough. Let it be fucking everything. So no, we're not protecting our energy anymore like it's some sort of fragile glass vase. We are commanding it. We are directing it. We are living as if our power is sacred because, like, quite frankly, it is. And when somebody embodies that truth, they stop explaining to themselves to people like, I don't know, who were never meant to understand them. They stop performing for love that they've already earned, and they stop shrinking to fit into rooms that never even had the capacity to hold them. Energetic sovereignty isn't about keeping others out. It's about calling yourself in, all the way in, over and over and over again, because the most magnetic, powerful, unstoppable energy in the universe is somebody who fully embodies their own damn field. And that's the new baseline. If you loved this episode, be sure to hit that subscribe button and leave us a glowing review. It helps more beautiful souls like you find this space. Because your words matter, your energy ripples, and every review is like a little spell of support for the Synaptic Soul mission. So until next time, stay curious, stay cosmic, and keep waking the F up.